I am so excited to be sitting here with you because you are such an important person in my life and so creative. And I was prepping for this episode, this conversation with you, and I was getting all gushy this morning thinking about you because I was trying to think like how I would describe you or how I see you, and I was thinking the first thing that popped in my mind was on Instagram those memes that say that's like a picture of light coming through trees, like branches, and it's dappled light, and it says this is how I see you.
Aww,
and I was like, that is like how I see you. You are such a shining, warm light, and in our friend group and our family. And I'm so grateful to be a moon in your orbit, and I'm so happy that we get to have this conversation
today. I love you. Thank
you. Okay, enough love bombing. Now down to business. So we are sitting in your fairy witch cottage kitchen right now. I love that with these conversations, we get to have them in special places that are meaningful to the person that I'm talking with. And like for you, I'm assuming that you spend a lot of your creative brainstorming time in this space. And if we were a fly on the wall of your kitchen, I'm just curious what that fly would be seeing. Like, what is your...
Oh gosh, I mean, so much. For the creative process, I mean, I feel like dancing in the kitchen is part of any good creative process. So you see me looking like a dork dancing around in the kitchen. I think sometimes if I'm like focused on writing and I'm just at my house, you'll see me kind of just like be in the zone and be really quiet while I'm just like my mind is wandering. And so these walls see a lot of that. And then they see me like freak out when I hear the final product, and they see me like feel happy and like victorious when I figure something out. So much. I mean, yeah, they see me fumble and try different things. They've heard every unpublished lyric. They've heard all the published ones first, it's like hallowed ground for my music.
I love it. It's your ecosystem.
Yeah.
I love that. You're a beautiful writer, songwriter, and musician. And I'm just curious, when did you have a moment that you can think of in your life that music wasn't just something that you listened to, but was something that you felt really called to make yourself?
In terms of me wanting to try and make it myself, I think I'd have to talk to little baby, like 2-3-year-old Morguinn about it, because she just started doing it in her car seat. But so I think I've always just kind of gone there. I feel like I figured out I needed to have it in my life. When I kind of had this moment when I was a teenager where I had this relationship with a mentor that kind of went sideways, and it kind of rattled me and my sense of how I go about writing music myself. And it led to like a period of time where I didn't write for almost 3 years. And then when it came back, I was like, oh, this is my life. This is, I don't even have a choice, and I want it, So I think that was like a really good turning point for realizing that it has to be in my life, and it will always be, regardless of how that manifests.
Yeah. So you had that like cleansing time to kind of disassociate it from negative energy and then come back fresh with it where it was all your own. And
it was almost like a reclamation process of kind of coming to it on my own terms and trusting myself and knowing that, you mentors are so important and you can learn so much from them, but you don't have to take everything that they offer. And you have to step into it on your own and find it within yourself for it to be long lasting and to have the confidence and the focus. And that was such a crucial moment for me to find it again, to have it come back, to kind of release it, love something, set it free. And if it comes back to you, it's really yours. And it did come back to me. Yeah.
Were you at all during that, that phase of not writing, were you ever like curious, wondering, nervous? Like, what were your feelings during that time?
Yeah.
If it would ever come back to you?
So it was hard. 3 years is a long time, right? So I would cycle in and out, But a lot of times I would, pick up my guitar, try to write something, and I would just start crying because I couldn't do it. I couldn't get to where I want it to be. Nothing was right. Putting too much pressure to write about one thing or the other. Nothing was up to my standards. And it was really emotional. And I really do, oddly enough, think I had to get to this place where I was like, I love music and it's so important to me, but if all that I have is what I've had in the past with it, if that's all of it, I'm going to be grateful for that and I'm going to just love it and continue living my life, right?
Yeah.
And it was not at all giving up or anything. It was just kind of like, I'm going to love it. I'm going to let it settle and I'm just going to, not stress myself out about it too much.
Take that pressure off so that you could like create without feeling
Right.
restricted or like too like having too much expectation for something.
Right. I had to relinquish the control of trying really hard to hold on to it because it wasn't effective and it made me feel stressed. And just, I think that for me personally, and I know for a lot of other people, when you put too much pressure on creating art, it is counterproductive. And
stifling.
Sure. Absolutely. And it just didn't work.
Do you remember the first song that you wrote that just like flowed out of you after that period of not writing, and like what was that experience like and how did you feel?
Yeah, so it's so funny because I can't even really tell you what happened that kind of opened the floodgates, but it opened the floodgates. I cleaned my guitar really well for some reason.
You like cleansed it?
Yeah, I was just, I don't know what that was, if, take it as a metaphor or don't, but I cleaned my guitar and then I wrote a song called Secondhand Heart, and it was kind of like, it wasn't at all about, like, I didn't sit down and think I'm going to write about my journey with music or anything. It just kind of, transmission. And it was kind of under the lens of like a heart having been through X, Y, or Z, and does anyone still want it kind of thing. And the beauty of something secondhand. And then after that I was a monster. I wrote multiple songs daily. I had so many, I like couldn't stop, and it felt so good.
I'm so happy to hear that. I feel like that can happen a lot where like you have ebbs and flows of being creative, and sometimes you need to just like refill your brain and gather the stories that you're going to tell, and maybe you're not physically like writing them out or creating music and stuff, but then there's those periods where it's just like create and creation sometimes it like spurs on more creation just to have that flow. But I love hearing that story because I think a lot of people can relate to that as well. Okay, so where do those inspirations strike you, do you think?
I think it can be a lot. There's like, I'm such a romantic, so really romantic stories in movies and books and people. I find so much inspiration in sometimes though it's really just words, even a phrase, a concept of, oh, that would be so cool if there was a song about that.
And you're so witty with words too.
Oh,
like
thank
you
you.
take like common phrases and then you put a spin on them so that they become like so caught in your brain too, which is great.
Yeah, I love words. I think that's a lot. My mom's an English teacher. I love reading, so like I'm just obsessed with words, and this is such a weird word. What could I do with it, kind of thing. So a lot of times that's where it comes from. Yeah, and then, people's stories. I think a lot of times my songs aren't even necessarily about things that I've experienced. They're just kind of like I put myself in someone's shoes, or I really listen when people talk about things and imagine what that must have been like and take it in and think to myself, what would that feel like for me in that moment? And then it kind of just is this world of the song, and then I find it like that. And sometimes it is just me being like lusty and feeling romantic, and there's inspiration everywhere.
What does it usually look like when so you've been hit with your inspiration for your song? Like, do you grab your notes app on your phone? Are you on a piece of paper? Are you like in bed at 2 a.m.? Like, what does it look like? Paint a picture.
So, it's different. I've, of course, for the majority of my life, it's been in my bedroom, reaching for my guitar. But honestly, in later years, or in most recent years, I write mostly in the car. I'm driving, and I usually have another song on, and I have an idea, and then I pause the song, and I kind of fumble around until I find something I like. Don't tell the CHP, but I will pull out my phone and record it like that. And so, sometimes I write a song to completion in my car, and it's just a bunch of voice memos over and over again. And then I come home and then I set it to my guitar, and then you get the one proper voice memo as like a record of the song.
Car drives are very inspiring because you can't be like actively on your phone. You can't be distracted. And I feel like that's when your brain like kind of can really focus on something. Like I think a lot of people have that with long drives.
It's so special. I love my car. It's such a creative space for me, especially living in LA where you drive all the time.
Yeah. If you think back to your childhood, are there any sort of sounds that come to mind? Like if it was ASMR of your childhood, what those noises would be.
I mean, so many. I feel like the sound of my screen door opening and slamming, you probably remember that sound too. Chickens squawking and dogs barking and like horses' hooves on concrete. I mean, tons of music at the creek, so much. I mean, that was just little cottage fairy tale childhood. Yeah.
Were there any songs that you can think of that stood out to you from your childhood, like something that would get played often, or like genres of music?
I mean, my mom played me all the classics, all the 70s, 60s. Fleetwood Mac was a huge part of my childhood. Hearing Rumors, that album for the first time was huge. I remember being in the back seat of our Volvo and the chain came on and my mom was like, I'm gonna give you a heads up, this bridge it's important.
My dad did that for me with the chain too.
Right?
He was
it's like the bass line
parked
comes in.
at the beach and he was like, you have to listen to this from like start to finish.
Yeah, it's like a huge pivotal moment. And I just remember being like, okay, like I'm ready. I'm like, this is John McVie. He's playing the bass and this is a big historical song moment. I mean, there was so much music everywhere. My grandma and her record player and I mean, early 2000s music on the radio, burning CDs, begging my mom,
Early iPods.
Oh yeah, my iPod shuffle, like that's a gold mine.
Are you the first musical person in your family?
No, I mean, I think as far as I know, I'm the first person to release music, kind of, but my grandmother was super into music, even just from like an instrumental perspective. She played the bagpipes and she studied flamenco guitar as an adult, and she wrote a song about like snow dogs sledding and got it on the radio.
Wait, that's so cool. Do you have that recording?
We have the lyrics. Wait, what is it? Togo? It's Togo. I was like, it's not Balto, it's Togo. Okay, yeah. So that's on the radio and we do have the lyrics. But yeah, she sang beautifully and often, and I have her guitars and I remember all of that. And then my mom's a beautiful singer as well, but didn't really explore that as a career. But yeah.
That's really cool. What was your relationship to your voice as a kid? Like, did you feel like you had the freedom to express yourself or sing? Like, did you have nervousness about that?
I sang all the time as a kid. I did shows and performances and was in choirs and musical theater and things like that. So I sang often. As I've grown up, though, I've really come to love my individual voice more. Not that I ever thought bad about it as a kid, but I kind of I was surrounded by a lot of talented kids who I maybe like thought that their voices were of a higher caliber. And it was never, self-deprecating. It was more just me trying to understand from a practical place that, they have a better voice than I do. Not saying mine is bad, but just understanding that. And I think as I grew up and sang more and came into myself, I was like, I love my voice. This is what my voice can do, and this is what their voice can do.
So you talked a little bit about, like inspiration strikes you and you're maybe driving and you're recording on your phone and everything. And that's all of like the generation creative time, quite intimate. It's just you working on it. When does it transition to like producing music and when you maybe invite like collaborators in to help? What is that process like for you? Yeah,
so I am fortunate enough to have one of my best friends is also my music producer, Alex. So I think there comes a moment where, if we're deciding about a body of work or if we're deciding about a single, where we kind of pick it out and pick which one we're going to focus on. I bring it to him and we go in the studio and we start with guitar usually and go from there and scratch vocals and bass, and that's so fun. That's just like, we call it like going shopping because it's kind of like we're shopping for different sounds and elements that we want to have on the track. It's again just so fun and collaborative and such a great give and take.
I love your partnership together because you develop like that shorthand when you're working with people, and I'm sure you guys are able to like be psychic with each other and just like he knows your style, you know his, how to communicate.
Oh yeah, it's so special. And I think I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of people specifically with writing and the music process where you do kind of hop on the same frequency and you know each other well enough that you can tell where it should go and where the other person will want to go. Yeah, it really is special and is you don't have it with everyone. And it's fun to kind of fumble around with other people and see how you can get there and be exposed to new things, but having that grounding same wavelength person super special too.
Do you feel like you write to escape feelings, write to understand them? Is music therapeutic and like cathartic for you? How does your, brain, heart, like emotional state go?
I don't know that I necessarily think, writing this will help me understand it. I think it's more like I'll step into it and look at it from the inside and where does my brain go and what phrases come to mind kind of thing. I definitely like to expand on emotions in songs where it's like even just like an inkling of yearning, of disappointment, of, dreaming. And I think that stepping into like one small moment and making a whole world around it is something that I do sometimes. I like to romanticize things, so I don't know if that in that sense it could be an escape, but yeah, I think there's lots of different ways that emotion plays into it,
because it's so emotional also listening to music, and as like a listener or a viewer of other people's creations, like you as the creator might have like written a song about something, and then as a listener you're going to listen to it, you might never know what that initial story or emotion was, but it can affect you and it brings to mind your own personal like connections and thoughts and emotions, and it just like creates this sort of like ripple effect or like a cobweb of connection just from one song. And like you might never know how people see or hear or experience it exactly. You're gonna experience it so differently than anyone else.
I mean that's like with all art, no one's gonna watch a film and feel the exact same way, and I'm sure it feels very different to the audience than to the writer. I think that's something that throughout just writing and growing as an artist that I've had to kind of take a look at, because I think it's really easy, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing this, to feel an emotion within yourself and write a song about specifically how you feel in this, right? And I think that that's super special to be able to, have a snapshot of how you're feeling and show it to other people. But I also think something that I try to do is take what I'm feeling or take a story or a sentiment and see how can I talk about this in a way that feels true to me, but that also opens it up to being universally felt. So, I try to, as just a personal choice, not make a song feel too boxed into me. I want people to relate to it and find different truths and things that I didn't even think of for themselves. And so it's really fun for me, and I think it really is definitely a part of the mental process of writing, being like, how can this hit different people? I love that, because that is such an interesting aspect of being an artist and a creative person, is like how much of the project do you look at with just your eyes? Do you like open up your mind to thinking about how it's going to be perceived? Do you think like, oh, is this story like, could it help people? Like, what's its effect going to be? But I love that you kind of set out like with your own emotion or your own thought and idea, story, feeling, and then you think like, oh, like maybe can I make this feel relatable? Just to be able to touch people or like make them think about their own lives when they hear it. For sure. I feel like it's got to pass, sitting right with me first. It's got to pass my emotion and feel true to me. And then let me make sure that people will understand or people will think about it or it will reach them in some way. If you could have one hope with people listening to your music, what would that hope be? That's a great question. A hope for people listening to my music. I hope they think about it. I hope they think about the elements that I put into it, be that lyrically or production-wise. If you were looking at a painting, at least for me, when I'm looking at a painting, because I'm not really a painter, I'm looking at the choices of the colors and looking at the picture as a whole, and then I'm thinking about what was that process like? Why did they make that choice? What did they see? What is this based on? And I think if I could somehow have people think about my songs that way, think about the choice of words, think about the meaning of that word. What does that mean? Why would she put that in there? Like, let me think about why would I put that in there? I think it's just having things kind of settle in your mind, I think is what I would hope, I hope it stays with them for long enough for them to form opinions and thoughts about it. To like decode the stories and all of the elements that went into it. Right. And just donate their thoughts to my music, I think that's what a privilege, you know?
To get to sit in someone's brain is so, it's so lucky. That's so cool too, because I think about this a lot when I listen to your music or any of our friends' music. I tend to see it and be like, God, this is so amazing, doing something emotionally to me, or I look at it sort of like as a whole, and then they'll sometimes like point out, be like, oh, well, like, did you hear the mess up there? I gotta like level that out, or I have to like, you know, fix the sound of the violin is too loud. I totally understand that, because when I'm showing people my films or photos, I'm like, oh my God, the color grade, oh my God, the sound design. Right. But I think that you probably have a similar like flipped experience that I have with you, where like when you're watching the films, you might not be seeing like all of the things that I see as like mess ups. Yeah. And when I listen to your music, I'm fully experiencing it and not picking things apart.
I look at your unfinished work and I'm like, this is beautiful, put it out there right now, release it right now, you know? But you have all this like list in your head because you know it so well, and I feel the same way with my music. You know, no one knows your work and your art more intimately than you. Yeah. And so I think that's why when something feels done to you individually, it's so empowering, because it's like, look, I know this so well and I know it's ready. I know it's ready to be seen.
I forget who it was that said, oh, it was our cousin Elliot. I was asking him about his script, and he was saying, or his film, and he was like, I think it's done. And I was like, how do you know? Like, how do you know when it's done? He's like, because I'm getting bored. Like, I'm watching it and I'm not having as many, like, notes for myself. I'm not getting irritated by things as much. He's like, I'm getting bored watching it. And he's like, I think it's getting close to done, because I'm not like, oh, like, I need to fix this, and oh my God, I have to do this. So for you, like, what is it like to know when something is close to being done? Like, do you have a mental checklist, or does it just start to feel right?
I think I sometimes have a literal checklist on my phone of things that need to be fixed. I think as we start winding down production and getting close to the end, I listen through, and I was thinking about you guys talked about perfectionism, and I was trying to think if I'm a perfectionist with music, and I think sometimes yes, because it has to feel perfect to me when I listen to it. But sometimes when I listen to a song of mine, oftentimes in early stages of production, I'm listening and like a little red flag will go up and be like, that needs to be fixed, we need to work on that, I don't like that, let's trade out this sound, you know? Yeah. And I think when it's done, I listen through and no little red flags pop up. And even when there are little flags early in the process, I still am enjoying it and have my moments where I'm like, yes, this is so good. It'll feel so nice when we fix all those little things. So I think, you know, as soon as I can listen to it and not have any red flags pop up, it's done. And it's just kind of like an internal knowledge. So it sometimes differs from who I'm working with at the time when I think it's done, and you know, they're like, oh, we need to work on this, and they show me and they fix it and I agree. But no,
that's very similar to how I feel with projects. It's like if I keep getting bumped, if I feel like oh, like I get that bump in my chest, or I'm like, oh, it's not there, and then when you watch it through or listen through, or you know, and you just don't have those little like I don't know, even it feels like a bump in my chest. Like, oh, I gotta
it's like a little hiccup. Yeah.
Do you have songs that have been like very easy for you to produce, and songs that have been like incredibly difficult to produce, or are they all similar kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I think fortunately I don't consider the production process thus far as having been too trying or too difficult. Some have definitely taken longer than others, but I think, you know, the excitement that you walk into it with, it really affects the process. And I think that if you're excited and have a lot of, like, a clear idea of what you want it to be and what you want it to sound like, it does speed up the process. And so fortunately I've experienced that a lot, where, you know, we walk in and, you know, Alex and I, or whoever I'm working with, I'm like, we want to do this, we want to execute this, and it needs to sound like that. And then it comes together so quickly because we have a clear vision, and it forms fairly fast.
I'm curious about who your biggest teachers in your life have been, and they can be musical teachers, or they can just be like life school teachers for you. And sometimes I feel like our best lessons can also come from like even negative experiences. So just anything that pops into your mind that have like really formed you in your creative journey, but also just like living life.
Oh yeah, I mean, my family, which includes you guys, of course, I mean, they're my greatest teachers, and you know, they show me my potential when I don't see it, and they expose me to new things and new art and new ideas and history and different ways of thinking about things. And I think that has, you know, been absolutely some of my greatest inspiration.
I feel like when I think about you a lot, there's such like a matrilineal, like you're always so connected to your relatives? Do you feel any people that maybe you haven't met in your life, maybe they are related to you or not, maybe they're from the past or like even now, but you haven't met them, that you just like think about or give you strength or are teachers in their own way without even having to have like spoken a word to you?
Absolutely. I have so many. I mean, ancestry is a huge thing in my family, and I'm fortunate enough to have access to a lot of records and photos and stories and letters, relics from the past that show where we come from. And that, you know, it always sticks with me. And so I think that's definitely a huge part of my identity is the past and ancestors and stories and my grandparents and their grandparents and things like that. Absolutely. I also feel like I read a lot of memoirs and I'm such a history nerd that I do sometimes feel like I collect people that I don't know, that maybe nobody really knows, that I just know about them and their stories. And I do feel like they walk with me and I carry them with me. Absolutely. And yeah, definitely huge part of my life is ancestors in the past. And
You have like their ghosts with you and like, they're like over your shoulder, like your little angels, part of your process.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, like I said, a lot of the songs I write aren't necessarily about things that I personally experienced. And they are sometimes, I feel, transmissions, because why would I know, you know? And that, you know, expands on like past life and like, you know, previous experiences like that, I'm sure. But I do feel like when I was very young, I like came up with the concept of my guitar being a 6-string time machine.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, and I felt like that felt so true because, you know, how would a 6-year-old know so deeply what it's like to have like a world-altering romance, you know? Like, and I just feel like I just knew how to talk about it, or I felt that I knew how to talk about it in a way that felt true to me. So definitely I love them, little angel ancestor guardian people.
They're with you.
They are, for sure.
Okay, so yeah, we talked about perfectionism and how like it has to feel perfect to you, but you also maybe don't like let perfectionism, it's not like it's a huge block for you. It's just something that you're striving to like complete it, and you know when it's right in your bones. But have you ever like had any sort of imposter syndrome or creative blocks in your life? I mean, I guess we actually already did sort of speak about your time, like where you sort of had to step back for 3 years and like figure out how to approach it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm fortunate enough, I don't think I struggle with imposter syndrome, and I think that a huge reason why is because I had that block. I think it was super critical to me and my process and going forward and maturing in this art form, because I really had to find it within, you know, growing up and having teachers and mentors teach you how to do things that you love, super important, right? Showing you when it's maybe a good move, when it's maybe not the right move, super important. But I think that as you grow up, you have to learn to navigate those choices for yourself, and what other people say oftentimes won't sit right. And I had to clock when it didn't sit right with me and find it within myself to be like, no, I like that.
Yeah.
I think this is right. And I think when I came back after that break, I was like, oh, it's all within me. Like, I know when it's right and when it's not. And I have standards. And so in that sense, the perfectionist I have to please is myself in those moments. And I have to be confident in my choices creatively. And, you know, sometimes I am not. And sometimes those songs don't come together. And that's okay.
And maybe it's just not the right time, but they will come together when it's the right time.
I've come back to projects years later and loved them. But yeah, so I'm incredibly grateful for that break and that revelation and just finding that confidence within myself.
I love that you like have talked about this, because I think like bouts of creative hibernation or like, you know, feeling like you have a creative block or you have writer's block or whatever it is, it can be like so terrifying, and you feel like maybe frustrated with yourself. You can go through so many emotions, but like look how it was so important for you. It was that like it was the chrysalis, you know, coming out, having grown through sort of that period of time. And maybe if you had just sort of like powered through and pushed through, you wouldn't have had the same experience or felt confident or had that positive like growth and strength that came from it. So it's just like for myself too, just to like clock that like times of feels like hibernation can actually really be beneficial, because like you catapulted. It was that visualization of like the pulling the bow and arrow string back, like you were pulling back, and then it like, you know, catapulted you forward into this feeling really free with your creative projects.
Oh yeah. I think also that, you know, I can sometimes, not often, but I have my moments where I kind of catastrophize. And so in those years off, I was like, what if it never comes back? What if it never comes back? And I never ever write ever again? Like, what am I going to do? And not until I kind of accepted, if this is all that there is, I am going to be grateful for what I've had.
Yeah.
To then, when it came back, now I never worry about that. And like, if it came back then, it's always here.
Yeah.
It's never...
You can make it through any phases of your life that feel like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I used to stress I haven't written in X amount of days, X amount of weeks, you know. I never worry about that. You know, I'm just like, it's coming. It's there. I'm just like, it's not right now, but it will.
I think it's good to talk about those feelings because like you're not the first person who has told me that they've felt that way where they're like, is it ever going to come back? And it can feel scary and isolating, and you might think it's like only you, but like it is a very common thing that people go through, and it's just good. It's like really good to be able to share that and make people not feel so alone if they go through something like that.
Absolutely.
You just released your EP. What is your next project? What are you working on now?
I am loosely working on an album. There will be some singles first because there's quite a bit of work that goes into the larger body of work. But yeah, I have a lot cooking, and I'm very excited about it.
If you were to like give us like a sneak peek of your album or this next phase of music that's coming out for you, like to describe it just in a few words, like what would you describe it like?
That's so good. I would say it's like guitar-centered delusional romance pop.
I love that. Delusional pop.
I love delusion so much.
I'm really excited. And when do you think you're going to start releasing things?
As soon as possible. As soon as possible. I mean, we have a couple of projects in the works right now, and but it's that same thing that I talked about where there's such a clear vision that I think it won't be too long because I think we know where we're going with it.
That's really exciting. I would love to know what your essential items are. If it was in your artist toolkit, or, you know, if you were having to run out of the house and grab like important things, what are you throwing into that bag? And then also, I think it's interesting to know like if you have items that maybe aren't physical, but are like things that you always keep with you. Like maybe it's something that you always say to yourself that you like, you know, if it's like your superstition before you produce a song, or it's like a phrase that you repeat to give you strength, like any of these like sort of essential things that are in your toolkit for life and for creating, and what you go around with. Yeah,
I mean, I definitely always have a book with me. I'm always reading something. I think part of my obsession with the past and ancestors is old books and classics and bringing them into the present. Like, I want to hold on to them. I think they're classics for a reason. So always a book, always the notes app. I'm constantly on it. I think also, you know, like I said, I always have my ghosts, my angels with me. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately, because I've been feeling really inspired, is I'm just excited for what's coming, is it's all happening. I've been thinking a lot to myself, and just like being grateful and just living in that, and just being excited for things that I know are in the works, even though I don't totally know, you know, just that like that belief and trust, and that's going to happen. If I'm nervous, I always think, you know, it's already happened, I just have to catch up to it, which is something that I feel like we say all the time, because it just kind of, it puts the faith in the future, you know, like future you's got it all figured out already, you know. Probably chocolate also, I always have with me. Fuel. But yeah, I think that's some of the things I carry with me.
Your essential items.
Yeah.
I would love to ask you a quick fire question round. So I'll ask you the question, and you can, if you totally want to like dive into it and talk about it longer, we can break the rules. It doesn't have to be quick fire. But if it's just like the first thing that pops into your mind, you can say it. And I'll start with, what is a book that you wish that you could read again for the first time?
So many, but I think Jane Eyre I'd love to read, because I felt like I was meeting a friend, and you know, it's like our meet cute was really
That's
sweet.
So cute, meet cute with Jane Eyre. I love that. What is a song or album that rewired your brain?
I would say Red by Taylor Swift. That album changed the game for me. Basically showed me what I wanted to achieve.
Those are those things that like sort of seep into your DNA. You know, certain albums, certain books, and they're with you forever.
Absolutely.
What is a belief that you've outgrown?
That someone else has to tell me when something's good.
That's a great one. What is a rule that you love breaking?
Ooh, that's such a good question. What's a rule that I love breaking? I'll tie it back to music specifically, that some lyrics are too wordy. I think that when you bend and break those rules specifically in art and music, I think it can really open the door to new realms of greatness and inspiration for other people.
I think constantly breaking rules with art is fun because we always like, there's like a rule breaker and then a trend, and then we're ready for something new, and like our ears and our eyes and our senses like are always kind of craving changes and like the new thing. And so rule breaking is definitely, it's a very exciting and like necessary part of like keeping art always evolving.
Absolutely.
What is a sound that you love but others find really annoying?
Probably so many.
Things that Lily and I do, like
Those are my favorite
our
sounds.
wheezing laughs. What is it, like a mundane day-to-day pleasure that you romanticize, or a mundane thing that people just sort of like pass by, and maybe it's a chore, maybe it's like doing something very random, but you like to sort of like make it special and like a ritual in your life?
I feel like I have quite a few. I mean, driving with the windows down when it's like a warm day, I think is so special and just hits every time. And I romanticize it every single time. Watering the garden, I love doing that.
Do you have any lyrics that come to mind, or songs as a whole that just make you feel feral, like that just you just feel so good listening to?
Yeah, I have so many. I feel feral in the sense that they hit me so hard that I'm like, I'm reduced to like a puddle. Have you any dreams you'd like to sell? From Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. I love. Definitely something I loved ever since I was a kid was You Made a Rebel of a Careless Man's Careful Daughter. It hits so hard every time.
I had this visual when you were saying those lyrics of like, if you were to like take a sample of someone's skin and put it under a microscope and like having like lyrics written on
I
it.
love that.
What are your go-to songs that you put on to dance to in the kitchen or in the bathroom when you're getting dressed?
Ooh, lately a lot of Tate McRae.
Oh, yes.
Go Your Own Way. I've been really having fun going back into the 80s and just kind of like jamming and dancing back, because I just feel like they don't give you any other choice when you hear 80s music.
80s Europop is fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
Okay, I feel like we got some amazing quick fire questions.
So glad.
I would love to know if you have like homework that you would assign to people for life school, advice that maybe you wish that someone told you, or like things that you've learned along the way that you'd want to just share.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I think something for me is, delusion's a very popular word right now. And I think, it's like been made into memes and jokes and just kind of like is in the zeitgeist. But I think that sometimes I hesitate to say it because I think of, if someone loves delusion or is delusional, then they're deluded. And I feel like that then just like takes them out of reality. But I sometimes think that delusion's actually manifestation and it's fantasy, and like those are big important words and things to do in life. So I think that if you're delusional about a situation or a goal or something happening, I think take a look at it and think about what you want to happen from that and why you would be imagining it and why you would be fantasizing it, and then maybe think about it more as a goal or a manifestation and just step fully into it. I'm just all bets are off. Go fully into it, because I think you're going to get some good stuff out of it. I think read as much as you can. Read old books too, and listen to other people and their stories and just like let yourself be swallowed up by them. What else? I think when you like something a lot, specifically in art or in a person or in someone's life, that I think figure out what it is you like about it and spend time with it and see how you can incorporate it. Because I think if you pinpoint specific things that you want in your life, I think it's a lot easier to achieve them because you want it. You know, if you're like, oh, I really like this album, what do you like about it? Or, this is like so random, but I love this like one weird scratchy sound in the background. Why do I like that? What do I think it adds? If I were to put it in a song, what would it be? I think you said this recently, but I think listen, specifically music or, anything, listen to everything. Try things you think you're gonna hate. And I think it's just gonna expand your mind because it's new and different, and it's just gonna, it's like when you work out and you like are sore because your muscles are expanding, I think it's like that. You just expand your brain, and then you're able to go to different places, and it opens you up. Go outside, spend time outside. I don't know, and I think just have fun, and I think give yourself grace, because I think, people say like pressure makes diamonds or whatever, but I think it also can be really crippling when that pressure comes from yourself, and I think there's time to hold yourself to standards, and I think that's really important, but I think it's also equally as important to give yourself grace.
I love that list. That was great.
Yay.
Okay, for our closing part of this conversation, which I've loved so much. Thank you so much.
Yay, thank you.
I would love to just ask you if you could time travel to yourself 10 years ago and then also 10 years in the future, what would you do with that power?
I mean, I think, like, in a weird way, I feel like I do that sometimes, where I really try to reach myself from the past, or I try to reach myself from the future, and, but I think if I were face-to-face with me 10 years ago, I think all I could really say is, like, you're so good, it's all gonna be okay, keep doing what you're doing, and, like, you got this, it's all gonna be okay, for sure. And 10 years in the future, I'd be like, I'm obsessed with you, fill me in.
What's happened?
What's going on? Yeah, I don't know, I'd be so stoked. I don't know, I think I'd want her to talk to me, I'd be like, let me know what we did, and, like, what's going on, and I'm so inspired by you, and, like, I'm working so hard to meet you, and I'd, like, carry both of them with me.
I love that, working so hard to meet you. Morguinn, thank you.
Thank you.
This was so great.
This was so fun.
I love doing this with you.
It's our normal conversation, it's just on camera.
Yeah, and you're so inspiring, and I feel like I'm just grateful that we could do this together, so thank you.
I'm so inspired by you. Thank you for having me. I love
you. This was so fun. Lily, give us a hug.
Lily!
I love you guys. Great job. It was so hard for me not to chime in. You guys did great answers.
I'm like, what did I even talk about?
No, great answers. I love hearing you guys chat.
That was so fun.